In case you were worried about the Illuminati taking over America, don't worry, because they already have. They might have changed their names a couple of times trying to throw us off, but they're not fooling anyone. They've been here for quite some time now, originating from Europe, and have taken over the world's wealth from using shady and crooked methods to gain control of the world as we know it. If you're thinking about joining the Illuminati, think again. You'll only get an invitation if you're a part of a distinct bloodline, but that doesn't mean you can't sell your soul to work for them. Here are just a few of the families who rule the world. Part 1.
But first, we'd like to give a quick shout out over here to this person for leaving us this comment. We appreciate your insight and we'd like to hear all your comments, so keep it up.
Number 8. The Merovingians. The Last Supper is held in the city of Milan, and only about 20 to 25 people per year are actually able to see it in person, making it somewhat difficult for amateurs to analyze. However, a controversial theory came out which discussed that the person sitting to the right side of Jesus is not the Apostle John, but actually Mary Magdalene instead. As you look closely, all but a few people were sporting beards in that painting. Is it possible that she was there during the Last Supper? Based upon some inscriptions discovered on ossuaries in Jerusalem in 1980, it would suggest that Jesus was married to Mary Magdalene and they had some son named Judah. Some theories would suggest that Mary moved to southern France and the ancestors of Jesus would go on to rule Europe. Many of the rulers of Europe would consider themselves to be divine in one form or another, which would give them the right to rule over others. There's also some rumors out there about a secret society known as the Priory of Sion, who sought to protect the bloodline and keep the truth behind it a closely guarded secret. We'll take a look at some other families who claim to have some connection to the Merovingians throughout the video. Number 7. Habsburg Family. Although the male lineage went extinct for the Habsburg centuries ago, the Habsburg-Lorraine family is still alive and well and quite wealthy. Karl and Otto von Habsburg are descended from the Austrian dynasty and are all extremely rich. It's very likely that many wealthy Europeans to this day in places like the Czech Republic, Switzerland, and Austria have a Habsburg somewhere in their family tree. The Habsburgs also managed to control Spain for a long time, which gave them control of the New World. Their legacy is still noticeable, and they're responsible for building the Habsburg family crypt, which is quite creepy. Construction on this began in the 17th century, and this church houses the bones of 145 members of the Habsburg royalty. It includes 12 emperors and 18 empresses. Many of the tombs are elaborately decorated like we see here, with the sarcophagus of Emperor Charles VI. It's been used all the way up until 2011 when Otto von Habsburg passed away. This photo here shows the grim ornament of the sarcophagus of Charles V, and it's wearing the imperial crown. But could they still be out there calling the shots? Number 6. The Windsor Family. The House of Windsor includes the modern-day royal family of the United Kingdom, which is of German paternal descent. It was actually formerly known as the Saxe-Coburg and Gotha House. The British line was originally founded by King Edward VII and the oldest son of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. The German-sounding name was eventually replaced with Windsor so it could sound more English during the First World War. So if you really felt as though the Queen of England was about as English as it can get, you were being lied to the entire time. During the 1900s, they ruled over an extremely powerful empire which stretched across the globe. What's also interesting about the Saxe-Coburg and Gotha dynasty is that they ruled over a number of different countries. This includes places like Portugal, the Kingdom of Bulgaria, and Belgium. The King of Bulgaria, Simeon, was the last reigning monarch of the country and was elected as Prime Minister from 2001 to 2005. Since the family has changed their name to hide their identity and their true origins, where else could this bloodline be lurking? Number 5. The Rockefellers. The Rockefellers don't appear to have any royal blood that we know about, but they managed to take control of their family fortune off of oil and then using the money for banking. Standard Oil was the original name given to the company that brought the Rockefellers a great amount of wealth and essentially turned John D. Rockefeller into the country's first ever billionaire. It became the world's most powerful monopoly, and they were able to sell so much oil for such a cheap price that it basically destroyed any competitors that stood in their way. The aggressive pricing tactics worked miracles for the family, and they gained wealth that they could only imagine and kept it in the family. This sort of makes them like America's royalty to a degree. In 1911, they were accused of running an illegal monopoly, and they would eventually dissolve the oil conglomerate into 34 other countries, many of which are among the companies with the largest income in the world. This includes multinational oil and gas corporations such as ExxonMobil and Chevron. Currently, the Rockefellers are also in charge of Chase Manhattan Bank as well, and have had many influential roles in politics during the 1990s. They've also had their influence on the media by determining who is allowed to get publicity or not. Number 4. The Kruk Family. The Kruk family made their fortune as merchants of war, producing steel, artillery, and ammunition, and so on, but the dynasty has their roots during the Black Death. In 1587, they started off by purchasing and acquiring real estate that had been abandoned during the plague, and quickly became one of the richest men in the city of Essen. They continued to gain prominence by acquiring coal mines, iron forges, and smelters, and other industrial businesses. They weren't afraid to show off their wealth either, and constructed Villa Hugel that we see here. Their main source of profit was from selling small arms during the 30 Years' War. During the Second World War, they also agreed to using forced labor to construct things such as tanks, U-boats, howitzers, guns, and many other useful items. Due to much of their negative history, they began to use another name called Sudwerk to sell trucks in 1946. In any case, the Krups are some of the most hated billionaires in the world. The last supposed Krupp heir decided to waive his inheritance and no longer uses his last name. Today, their legacy lives on with ThyssenKrupp, which is a conglomerate industry which controls about $35 billion in assets, with its headquarters in Essen, Germany. Some feel as though they're not technically a part of the Illuminati, but have agreed to work with them. Number 3. Warburg. The Warburg family is believed to have gained their wealth during the 16th century and are originally from Venetian Jewish descent. Loaning money with interest was rather frowned upon at those times, but that didn't stop them from trying to make some money. The family moved to the Italian city of Bologna and then to Warburg, Germany, where they changed their name to the Warburgs, probably to blend in with the rest. The Warburgs are believed to be related to the Rosenbergs, who trace their lineage to the Russian occult bloodline. In 1798, they established the Warburg Company Bank. They're a family that's not often mentioned when it comes to ruling the world either. They became extremely influential in Germany, obtaining large amounts of wealth. They likely own a stake in the Federal Reserve, and it's not extremely easy to find a ton of information on them. Paul Warburg was made the vice president of the Federal Reserve shortly after leaving Germany and opening up shop in the US. It's believed that they funded the Russian Revolution and other moments in history that would have been in their interest. Number 2. The Astor Family. You might be familiar with the Waldorf Astoria hotels across the world, but have you ever thought about how the hotel got its name? The Astor family can trace their heritage to the Waldorf Duchy of Baden, Germany. What's with all these families having some ties to Germany? Could that have been where the Illuminati was formed? Some of the origins of their family may be hidden, but they made their appearance in America early on in 1784 and soon joined a Masonic lodge. John Jacob Astor became the head of the Holland Lodge No. 8, which had its connections with the Illuminati. He began to gain more and more prominence thanks to shady real estate deals in New York City. President Jefferson, also Illuminati, gave him some special trading privileges during a time when the rest of the US was in some kind of embargo. Later on in the 1800s, when fur became a huge commodity, the Astors basically had a monopoly on the business after only being in business for a few years, surprising many. After also gaining a lot of money from the opium trade, as did the Roosevelts, the Astors suddenly owned 1/20th of all the property in New York City. This earned him the nickname, the Landlord of New York City. The Astor family fortune is estimated to be worth a ridiculous large amount of money that's hard to estimate, but possibly in the ballpark of $100 billion. Modern-day descendants include William Astor IV and John Jacob Astor VIII. And number 1, the Kennedy-Cavendish family. Whether you're a fan of the Kennedys or not, it appears as though they were a part of the Illuminati. It's unclear exactly where the Kennedys originated from, but with further research, it appears as though they've been wealthy since the 16th century in Ireland. There is a large amount of people with the name Kennedy in the area north of Tipperary. There's also some possibility that they came from Scotland, with their ancestry being traced to the 15th Earl of Castellis. It's very likely that their blood got mixed with royalty. In any case, they've had a prominent role in politics in America, and John F. Kennedy managed to maintain a good reputation despite having numerous well-known affairs. The assassination was simply a conspiracy by the rest of the secret societies after John F. Kennedy spoke just a little bit too loud about the New World Order. We suggest you guys skim through the book available on the CIA's webpage titled The Bloodline of the Illuminati for some more exposure to the truth. Be sure to stay subscribed and hit the bell so you're ready for part 2. We'll see you there.
So which one did you think was the most mysterious? Let us know in the comments section, and be sure to check out more of our videos. We got hundreds of them.